Yeah, we want to connect again with Patti Doyle-Bedwell. She's a professor of Native Studies at Dalhousie University, talking this morning about the death of 37-year-old mother Joyce McEwen, a member of the Atikamekw tribe who died in hospital just this week. Patti is going to join us by phone this morning. And my first question to you, Patti, is taking a look back at the Vienne's Commission. Back in 2019, the recommendations were put in place. They outlined specifically systemic racism within healthcare systems for First Nations people. If there are blueprints already in place, why aren't they being followed?
That's a really good question, and thank you for having me on this morning. There are blueprints, and there are recommendations for healthcare professionals, everything from the Truth and Reconciliation Commission to other inquiries that have been held. And it takes political will to make these things happen. And I often question the political will. And I think it's telling that the Premier of Quebec has said that Joyce's family, her situation with the racism that she experienced right before her death, before Joyce's death, it's like an isolated incident, and it's not an isolated incident. It's part of a systemic process that's happening in our healthcare system. It goes from Halifax to Winnipeg to Vancouver, where Indigenous peoples are treated in a racist and discriminatory way. Not all the time, but many times when they're going into a hospital or seeking health care, they're treated in a racist and discriminatory way. And so I think that we have to actually have the political will to implement these changes and what's been recommended. For example, in the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, they've asked for more healthcare professionals from the Indigenous community, and they've also asked for more education and training on cultural competency in healthcare for doctors and nurses. So I think we have to start implementing those significantly across this country.
Patti, let me ask you about that political will on the...
Yes.
Oh. Yeah, about the political will. Why do you think that it's not there? In Quebec alone, they've had two very recent reports and commissions. We've seen them nationally across the board. All of them list systemic racism. All of them list health care and lack of adequate care. So why do you think the political will is not there? What is stopping this from moving forward?
Well, I think what happens is that when you start mentioning the term racism, systemic racism, discrimination, I think people get very upset about those things. And, you know, it's about being a decent person. It's about maybe we have to take the healthcare professionals and make it part of their code of ethics that they're not going to treat people in a discriminatory and racist way. Maybe we have to actually try to get people to think about their implicit biases against Indigenous people. There's a lot of stereotypes about us, and I know that, I have friends that have gone in the hospital, and my friend had a stroke, and the doctor was convinced he was drunk, and his wife had to argue with the doctor to say he's not drunk, he hasn't had a drink in 35 years, something is wrong with him. And they did, and they refused to listen. And I think we have to start managing in their training and understanding the cultural competencies, understanding that racism and discrimination is bad behavior ultimately, and to understand that the healthcare system for First Nations people is not up to snuff. We have a hard time accessing care, and then when we do access care, sometimes we end up in the situation that Joyce ended up in, and I think it's tragic.
The story is ongoing. Patti Doyle-Bedwell, they have not had the results back yet from the autopsy. Quebec police saying that they will look at a criminal investigation depending on the results. Joyce, Patti, great to have you with us today. Thank you so much. We're going to send it back to the studio with Kelsey.
Thank you so much for having me, and my sympathies to Joyce's family.
Thanks for watching. If you like this, be sure to subscribe here.
And you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.